Hello, I'm Mark from Redbook Productions. This is the video show. Today we're going to be talking about, should you make your podcast on your own or should you have a co-host with you? So I've got a podcast with my friend Ben, and we do a podcast about film photography. Each week we'll do a video, but every month we'll do a podcast episode. But I'd say 99% of all the episodes has got both of us in it. Sometimes it's just one of us, so usually that happens when we need to plug a gap. But most of the episodes, overwhelmingly most of the episodes, have both of us in it. The reason we've done that is because we strike a nice balance when it comes to film photography. So Ben is a photographer, so he knows a lot about the subject. I just started when we started the podcast, so I could come to Ben with the questions and Ben would have the answers. So I would be asking the questions that the audience has and Ben would give them the answers. And I think that's quite a nice balance. So if your podcast relies on a dynamic where you need to ask the questions for the audience, having someone that knows a little bit less and somebody who's an expert in it is a really nice balance to go with. So that's a huge positive. Another positive is I think it's quite hard to do stuff on your own, especially long form content. To keep talking for that amount of time about one subject, you'll find that you repeat yourself. I noticed with this with podcasts where it is just one person, they kind of repeat themselves again and again after a while. They have like 5 or 6 of similar subjects and they'll just sort of rehash the same stuff every time. Whereas if it's 2 people, new stuff happens all the time. You have new conversations all the time and it's a good dynamic to have. If you're not a confident speaker on camera or just generally, having someone else there, you can just have a conversation. And I think that makes it a lot easier as well. You can just bounce off them. You can forget the cameras, the microphones are there, and just have a conversation every time you record a podcast. The negatives, I think, of having a podcast with somebody else is sometimes hard to align calendars. I wouldn't say that has happened in this case with me, because we've been doing our podcast for about 2 years now, and there's always like, you have to give and take a little bit, but there's usually time every week where we can both record something. But if you don't have somebody who's committed, then it can quickly fall apart if they sort of lose interest or lose commitment. So if you are relying on somebody else, make sure that they're committed to it. Make sure you've got like aligned goals with what you want to achieve with the podcast. And I think that's really important. Another thing, chemistry matters as well. So if it's just sort of somebody you don't really know, but you know they know a little bit about the subject, if you don't have that chemistry there, you're not going to have and I think this is important, you're not going to have a laugh with somebody. I think people will listen to people that are having fun, that are enjoying the conversation. I've noticed that with podcasts I've made and with the full frame that I make. People have given feedback where they know that we're actually having fun and we'd be doing this without actually recording the podcast. So whether it's you're both similar or whether you sort of wind each other up a little bit, but that plays off the dynamic, I think that's a good sort of chemistry to have. You've got to think about the dynamic and do you know that person? Do you like that person? Can you spend that time with people on an ongoing basis? Also, think about your commitment to the podcast. Is one person doing a lot more than the other? Is one person doing a lot more of the post-production or pre-production or a lot of the promotion of the podcast? If you're not splitting those dynamics, it will fall apart quite quickly. But if you both know your roles in terms of what you need to do in production and pre-production and promotion of the podcast, that will work really well. So for example, with the full frame, again, I keep going back to it. So I do a lot of the production, the editing of it, and I do a lot of the shooting of it, but Ben shoots stuff as well. He also does a lot of like talking to people when he organizes the photo walks and stuff like that. So we've started to do a few events around the podcast, but Ben is in charge of that. He's in charge of posting the stuff on Instagram, but I'm more in charge of the YouTube stuff and the editing and working out what kind of content we're going to make. So think about that and how that's going to work with you or your co-host, how you're going to do that. But I think hopefully I'll give you some ideas about how to put a podcast together, whether you want to go it alone or whether you want to bring somebody else in. And if you've got any questions, let me know in the comments below. And I've put together a offer about podcasts, so I'll put a link to that as well if you want to take a look. And I'll see you in the next episode of the video show. Goodbye.